It's only.
All right, we are live, and the Ospreys welcome us to our Friday live chat here at McDuff Lives.
I didn't see the countdown.
I didn't do the countdown; I forgot.
Oh, okay. No wonder it went live without me knowing.
Well, yeah. See, I keep thinking I would get me a producer to handle these things, but I haven't found one yet.
Man, where are you going to find a program producer around here?
I know. You'd think somebody would volunteer if they had
Especially
the
somebody with
skills.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe next week I'll get lucky and have a producer produce all the pre-production. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's might be the problem with finding a producer.
Oh, they have to get up early. Oh,
Well, and do all that work first thing in the morning. Some producers aren't morning people.
I have not met one. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin, and with me is my dear wife Marcia Keith. Marcia, how you doing?
I am well this morning. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good. Good. I feel, personally, with my health journey, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Supposed to get a call this week to set up that new PET scan thing, but I didn't get a call, so
I
I have
know
to
that
follow up
worries
on
me a
that.
little.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, like somebody dropped the ball and then
Yeah,
it's going to be time for you to go back to the doctor and you still haven't had the PET scan.
that's not going to happen.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
And well, I guess we can talk about what's going on in the news. In my particular case, I am most fascinated by this supposed mineral deal between Ukraine and the United States, announced by President Trump with some fanfare from the press officer about how, yeah, this is a great deal. However, my military summary channel, the reporter there named Dima, says whoever signed that deal with Trump is nobody. They were not part of the government there. Maybe they were some low level person that they've gotten to sign it, but Zelensky didn't sign it, and certainly it's not anything Zelensky would sign. So something going on behind the scenes here that the Trump
Oh,
administration is putting together. And what I thought was the most important thing was when Trump said yesterday about it that it's a good thing because it keeps the assets out of the wrong hands.
okay.
Now, who are the wrong hands
Right.
other than NATO and the people behind NATO?
Not necessarily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it could be North Korea.
Well, North Korea, of course, has soldiers there with fighting on the Russian side, something that was
Yeah.
hinted at and kept secret. Well, I suppose that might be remotely the case, but what I think it's the internal dispute in the United States between the Biden people and the Trump people. And that the bad people that he's talking about are the ones that made deals with Zelensky and the Ukrainians, i.e., the Biden crime family. So that's who I think the bad guys are, and so that's a
Which actually makes a lot of sense given Hunter's involvement with businesses over
yeah,
there.
charisma and
Yeah.
all. So the bad guys, if Ukraine survives this war and is still allied with the Burisma Biden family CIA types, then they can continue. They have hit lists against Americans, hit lists against people that want to stop the NATO/Zelensky project from succeeding in their war to ultimately topple uh, Russia as a power.
Mm-hmm.
So this serious business, and that's why I say something going on behind the scenes, which indicates that Trump is maneuvering, making some type of a play that will ultimately exclude Zelensky, and by excluding Zelensky, exclude the Biden crime family and the powers that are associated with them. So that's I think, the big story I wanted to study.
But if this is the case, why hasn't Zelensky spoken up and said, "Whoa, wait a minute, I haven't signed this deal"?
Oh, he has.
Zelensky has
No,
spoken
I
up and
don't know if
said,
he has or not, but I think it's very obvious that that's the case. No, no, maybe he doesn't want to dignify it by referring to it. But that doesn't. No,
I don't think Zelensky would do that.
I can't figure out what Zelensky's going to do. He's a puppet, and the people that
Right.
pull his strings, like Starmer and Macron, they're the ones that are going to have to deal with this hot potato, and we'll see what they do.
Did you see that picture of them from Sunday? Of the four of them, Trump, Zelensky, Starmer, and Macron?
No,
Oh, yeah, they were the four of them huddled together at the Pope's funeral.
okay. Well, Charles Held is here, and he's looking for his buddy and my buddy Corky. Well, I bet Corky will show up. He's probably out doing something in the yard.
Yeah, sometimes he comes in a little late.
And here's a comment on Ukraine from Wohead Rex. Wohead Rex. Ukraine is a mutually agreed upon depopulation scheme. We are all being played. I can't say you're wrong.
Right.
Yep. And Charles is fulfilling one of the names that we should include in the Biden crime family connections, and that is the famous oligarch Ihor Kolomoisky.
Yep. Quilting nurse is here this morning.
Good morning. Lots of yard work. Yeah, well, I was out taking my morning walk and chatted with some neighbors. They were busily doing yard work. He showed me how to make compost. And
oh, really?
Yeah. It's, just making it from scratch. And the idea is you use 2/3 of brown material. That means hopefully dead leaves or something like that that's already decomposing.
Okay.
And 1/3 grass clippings. And then you have to turn it.
Right.
There are actually drums that you can buy that you've probably seen.
Yeah,
So
I regret not having bought one of those.
Well, we can get one, and you get the drum, and then you feed your grass clippings and your leaves in there, and it takes a couple of months. But the only trick to it is you have to keep turning it every day.
Right.
But I like the idea of recycling things directly from nature, into our yard instead of buying a bag of compost or soil mix or
Right.
garden soil, which to me, I've never really had much success with just buying a bag of garden soil from Lowe's and then put some seeds in it. Last summer, I was very frustrated.
I know.
I couldn't get anything to come up. So, but this year,
No, the tomatoes did great last summer.
tomatoes, that's right. Well, yeah.
But only the little baby tomatoes.
The cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, by the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of those. Probably more than you realize, because a lot of times I would go out to pick tomatoes for dinner, but I ended up coming in with fewer tomatoes than I picked because, they're so snackable.
Prester John, hello. Ukraine is also being used as a test lab for Western pharmaceutical companies. Tulsi Gabbard is talking about this now. She has confirmed that the U.S. has biolabs in Ukraine and is looking into criminal, pursuing criminal indictments for what's gone on. It's very interesting. I'm so skeptical that anybody in the government's going to do anything good anymore, that even though they say the right thing, it's like the Kennedys,
Yeah.
everything's going to come out. They're going to dump it all out. We're going to see everything. But what did we find? We found more leads. We found more things that are confirmed on the side and all, but we do not have a director of national intelligence stand up and go on television and say, here is exactly what happened from point A, point B, point C, all the way through. And now you know,
Right.
and
Right.
and if you have any questions or if you have any doubts, then let's all get together and resolve it all so that this country can finally move on. No, they're not giving us that.
Well, and not just on intelligence, but on everything. Because I was going to refer to this pharmaceutical companies in Ukraine and using them for testing. I was going to make some smart aleck comment about, especially if they don't require placebos, because that's part of the problem too, is everything, you can't rely on the government for information because placebo's good, bad. Of course, everybody who's anti-Trump and anti-RFK Jr. is now going to say, oh no, if you add placebo testing in with these vaccine developments, then that's just going to keep people from getting the vaccine that's going to save their lives. And I'm like, my head's going to explode because I don't know who's telling the truth.
The important thing is to keep focused on the truth and not give in to what the government seems to want us to believe, and that is that they can decide, what the truth is.
Right.
And they've already decided that it's best that everybody, do something, whatever it is, take this shot or don't take this shot, but when they decide that, then it becomes policy in the regulations, the CFR and everything else. And all the bureaucrats are like, well, this is policy, you can't fight that. That's written down right here, and I have to enforce it. Well, wait just a minute. When did it become policy to ignore danger to human life?
Right.
To ignore danger to babies' lives?
Right. Right.
To endure.
But it's so easy to spin the truth. And yes, you're exactly right.
So we have to keep everybody focused on the truth and focused on the fact that they want to massage, in a way, our dedication to the truth and transfer our dedication to relying on public institutions or public-private institutions like NGOs, which have, shown their willingness to compromise human life in
Right.
favor of,
That's the thing. Everybody has an agenda, and nobody's agenda is what is best for the public.
Which was the whole idea of the Constitution in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, Charles has an idea for Ihor if he's looking for a new business opportunity. Cookie candy factory. Well, I can't help with that because I don't take sugar and,
Yeah, no cookies, no candy in this house. Well, that's not true. I made cookies with bananas and almond flour the other day. That's it. Just bananas and almond flour. Cook them in cookies and they're yummy.
There's Karma
Look,
Doc.
it's Karma Doc. Hello, Karma Doc.
Thank you so much. And always glad to hear from you, and you all the best with you and your chickens.
Yes. Sometimes I want to give my scraps to the bunnies that run around in the yard, or the bunny. I don't know if it's more than one. Never seen more than one at a time. The other day I was making kale and I had all those kale stems and I thought, where can I leave them for the bunny? I ended up putting them in the compost, but because I don't have chickens. I could take them down to Donna's chickens. My neighbor has chickens.
Well, we've been doing this. There's this big plastic box thing that we bought 3 years ago.
It's a composting box.
It's a composting box.
Yeah.
And we've been dumping, all of our kitchen scraps in there, occasionally putting in some other stuff like dead leaves.
You do that.
I do. Yeah. Dead leaves or some cardboard if it's
like you
nice,
should.
Clean cardboard and all, but not nearly as much as we should. And now I'm wondering, is this stuff going to be useful at all, or have we just been creating a big pile of mud inside a plastic box?
We should try it and see.
It's a mess to get into it, though.
Prester John has some comments about composting.
Composting is as satisfying as gardening itself. I think that's what Buddy and Mary that I met, our neighbors were saying. They were doing it. They were enjoying it. They have a beautiful yard, beautiful lawn.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. Doubts are well founded. Yeah. Oh man. The Chocolate King. Okay, this might be something I'm not familiar with. Charles, do you mean that Chocolate King? I think Kolomoisky is under the radar. His involvement
Involvement.
in J6 may be anti-Trump. There were Ukrainians clearly at the J6 event. Whether they came from Kolomoisky, I don't know, but it certainly is an interesting connection to think of, and wonder if our director of national intelligence is thinking about that. Kolomoisky, Ukrainians, speaking the Ukrainian, caught on videotape, and wearing, serious military headgear uh, at J6. And these guys are the ones that were the primary ones that broke in. Not that there weren't others, but this is something that intelligence agencies have known about all along. And are they going to let the people know, let us know that, yeah, well, again, I think there's a lot of people that know stuff that are scared to hell, scared to say it.
Yes, exactly.
Scared today, scared.
Letting the people know. Though, as others have said, being vocal is one of the best ways to protect yourself. Because once you put yourself out there, then what happens to you becomes more obvious or public knowledge. And anyway, it's a way to protect yourself.
It's a funny thing you said that, because I was just listening to or watching a video of James Manning. This he's a private investigator, is what he is, and a businessman, and he's from Norfolk, Virginia, and he's never surfaced with any JFK stuff before that I'm aware of.
Right.
But he has a lot of inside contacts in the FBI, and apparently other stuff.
Oh, he's the one whose videos you were showing yesterday.
Yeah, and he has a YouTube channel that I recommend everybody check out. It's called Patriotism Unhinged. And if you go to that, you'll see maybe 15 or 20 videos, 10 to 20 minutes long. And I've watched about half of them, and I'm very impressed with this gentleman. So anyway, back to what you were saying. The story of Stephen Hatfill has new information that I got this morning from this man who has a very small following. It's just a couple thousand on his YouTube channel, but I think he's going to be a factor if nothing happens to him, because he's been studying this stuff for 50 years. Well, he says that a lawyer had contacted him to help with a client of his, a woman who was afraid for her life because she had been threatened. Well, he met with her, and the woman explained to him that she was Stephen Hatfield's live-in girlfriend.
Now remind us who Stephen Hatfield is.
Hatfield, double L at
Okay.
the end. Although he pronounces it Hatfield too, but it's Stephen Hatfield. He was probably the first primary suspect in the 9/11 anthrax case.
Oh, from Fort Detrick.
No, not from, well, I don't remember where he's from,
Okay.
but he was the number one suspect in the
Yes,
anthrax
yes.
case, okay?
Okay, I remember him.
Okay, so just hang with me. One day, Hatfield, who had a lot of contacts with Rhodesian military, and these Rhodesian militaries would come and stay at their house when she was his girlfriend. Well, one day, and they used to shoot guns off and stuff like that, the serious stuff. One day, Stephen Hatfield, according to this, to James Manning told her that if she ever mentioned anything about what she knew, that he would kill her and make it look like a suicide. So when James Manning meets with her and he learns this information, he said basically what you just said. He said, once the information is out, then you're no longer, it doesn't matter. They can't stop you from saying it because it's already out. So the best thing to do is to call the FBI and tell them what you know. And so a couple of FBI agents came to visit her and spent 2 days and took down the information. And then two things happened. First, they stopped investigating because she said that Stephen Hatfield was CIA, which is completely not known to anybody.
Okay.
So she is saying that Stephen Hatfield, who is the number one suspect, was secretly in the CIA. Okay, that's pretty intriguing. So the FBI learns this, and the next thing you know, they've dropped Hatfield as the lead suspect. They're no longer investigating him. And they turn to Bruce Ivins, who a lot of people feel was wrongly accused, became the subject of just tons of harassment to try to get him to admit. And, so that's the story that behind the anthrax. And then the second thing that happened was she committed suicide.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, what does that mean if that story is true, except for, you can't win sometimes, there are bad guys out there, lots of them. They're very well organized. There are ways to get you. And so as long as we're doing this work, we just have to realize that there is no security.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, I've wondered, the news has not covered, but it has been in the news that a woman who was one of the accusers of Jeffrey Epstein and,
Oh, yeah.
what's her face?
But you're talking about
Virginia.
Ghislaine Maxwell's recruit, Virginia Joffrey with a
Yes.
G.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's been, a lot of
And
folks
she
have
just
been
commits suicide in Australia. Yeah.
supposedly
Right. Exactly.
after getting hit by a bus in which the primary injury was bruising all over her face. Yeah, and that story is another just dramatic, but it's public. This one, that story of Virginia Joffrey and her connections right up to the royal family, all of this Epstein stuff,
Right.
that we were promised was going to come out,
Right.
and maybe people anticipating that it was going to be okay to talk about it started talking some.
Very sad.
Who knows?
But we're getting way behind in the comments.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Let's see where we're at next.
Oh my goodness. Can you hear that, or is that just me hearing it?
Oh, you just more sensitive to it than the rest of us.
That is Toto snoring.
Yeah, she's all right. Let's go back. Oh my goodness.
Are you lost?
Not for long.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on a healthy diet.
Yeah.
Everybody else get on this healthy diet too. I mean, make sure you feel that it's healthy, but to us, health is plant-based whole food, plant-based.
The whole food's a very important part of it too. Nothing that is processed. No processed food, period. Nothing. Enough about that.
Valerie Jarrett, I almost met her. She was in the same room with me once when I was working on the Obama
I remember that on the Obama inauguration.
inauguration committee. Yeah, I was really with Obama, and I was just so happy when George W. got on that Marine helicopter and flew off the mall and goodbye, and the whole world is going to change.
I have a feeling that W was pretty happy too.
Hope is, hope has arrived, and boy, it took me about 3 months to get disgusted with Obama. Ever since then, I've been skeptical of the.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, highly skeptical. Right. And some information about the Chocolate King. Yes, at J6 for us. Yes, of course, about the Ukrainians, that is, and those of us that have been following that story since then with George Webb and a number of other folks. This is so important. Yeah. My Dan Style, says Charles. Let's see what Wohead Rex says. West African cocoa plantations are likely trying to take advantage of the multipolar complex. Nestle, oh my God, Nestle. Did you know, Marcia, that Klaus Schwab, making reference to this being his 88th year, which is a code word for Heil Hitler, if you believe that stuff, decided to retire from leading the World Economic Forum in favor of the president of Nestle, which is one of the most water-grabbing corporations in the world that is just, buys up everything that they can that would otherwise provide free natural water to humanity. No, and he says, we're not entitled to free water. No, you're not entitled to that.
I read a chilling story about a Nestle effort in South America. I can't remember if it was Brazil or Argentina, to get women to feed their babies infant formula and get them addicted to infant formula instead of breast milk. And it was just the worst marketing, horrible, exploitive marketing effort that was, and it was in this book about processed food and about the dangers of processed food, and not only the food itself, but the practices that these companies engage in to get people addicted to processed food. And Nestle is way among them.
Charles Held makes reference to Kathy O'Brien, who I think says she's a Brien, but she is one of the most famous whistleblowers on the MK Ultra trauma-based mind control, and she was a victim of sexual exploitation as a child for her whole childhood, and tells a number of stories. That she's one of many that have tried to come out to try to help, reveal this stuff, and I do believe her. I've studied her stuff. She's one of millions of women or girls that have been abused serially, and to even think of somebody doing that is beyond most people's ability. I don't even want to consider that there's anybody in the world that would do that. But we have to accept the fact that this happens, and not just once in a while, but it happens a lot. These investigations that are undergoing now by Kash Patel at FBI are horrific, and they're going to keep finding more and more of this child trafficking and exploitation that everybody would like to believe doesn't happen.
Sadly, it happens much more. You say that nobody wants to believe that it would happen, and nobody would want to do it, but there are way too many people who do it. And women and children are exploited and abused all over the globe. My God, in Africa, what goes on, in Nigeria, what continues to go on with women being captured and held hostage, and all over the globe, women are being terribly, terribly abused.
Quilting nurse gives us another name, Petro Poroshenko, who I don't remember the context of who he is, but I remember the name as being another oligarch. That's all I got on Petro Poroshenko, but sure, he's an important Ukrainian.
Yeah, further down, just 2 down, Charles Held also references.
Karmadoc says Jeff Lowenfels has those teeming with books, microbes, fungi, nutrients. Great explanation of making soil.
Nice.
Good, because, you know, I can't find anybody to make it for me.
Besides nature.
Podcast with him and Malone talking about Burks et al. Is creepy. I'm not sure who that him is, but
Yeah, you were talking about
I guess it
somebody
was
when she
Hatfield.
posted
It might have
this,
been
yeah.
Hatfield. Okay, send it to me.
Interesting.
Hatfield was CIA, says quilting nurse. So perhaps there was not a unique disclosure, or maybe that came from her. And I don't know. I have to find out how that disclosure happened. But you know, this James Manning to me has a lot of credibility. But a story like that, if it's false, that can just destroy its credibility. So it's a kind of a litmus test.
You know, and he tells the story of how he too was threatened when he first reached out to Garrison, Jim Garrison in New Orleans back in the late 60s. This is how he got interested in the Kennedy assassination.
I didn't know that. He did do a video that explained how he got interested, but I didn't see that one. Tell us.
He was working at here in the Washington area at a military facility, and he was working overnight, and they had access to files. And so because this was way back in the 60s when their, TV stations signed off in the middle of the night, there was nothing to do. So they would go through the files and look at them. And he came across Lee Harvey Oswald's file and found that Oswald was never qualified as a shooter. He tried when he was in the Marines and was rated as unqualified as a marksman. And Manning tried to share this information with Garrison, but when he called, Garrison said, "I can't talk to you right now. Call me back later." And then Manning was told by somebody he worked with, and he explains who these people are and what their connections are and why, but he was told, if you pursue this, your life will be in danger. And so he never reached out to Garrison again, but that launched his interest in the assassination and Oswald, and he continued to research it over the years. And that's why he has all of this information. He has spent his life since then researching.
In another video, he indicated, that, he brought up the point that a lot of the objections to the conspiracy theory are that, hey, if there's so many people would have seen something, nobody spoke up. If this was really a conspiracy, we'd know it by now. And he answered that by saying, people did speak up.
They're all dead now.
Hundreds of them. And they're dead.
Right.
And so when you think about, him withdrawing from it publicly, but still working on it behind the scenes, that reminds me of Judith Ferry Baker.
And it would be interesting. I thought about that too. It'd be interesting to know what her thoughts are on his revelations about Oswald.
And vice versa. And the whole question of SV40 and the development of that, that's a huge part from my point of view, because if Judith Ferry Baker was developing SV40 as a poison for the the Mongoose committee that was going to supposedly use it to kill Castro, then she would know how they use cancer to kill people, and that would be through giving them the appropriately uh, 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 dosed SV40. And so if they killed my dad with cancer, it's very likely that that's what they used.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, these leads are just tantalizing to me.
Yeah, of course they
Every
are.
time I
Yeah.
get something new, I'm like, wow, I'm newly energized. Like this guy, James Manning, he's down in Norfolk apparently, and I'm going to see if I can get a way to meet him and interview him.
That'd be great.
And our good friend Charles Held refers to the picture that was shown in I think it's his most recent video, Manning's most recent one, which you might have, if folks that have looked through the JFK archive video and photo archive are familiar with a picture of a guy that's standing in the same pose as George H.W. Bush. He's standing there, and some people say, well, that's H.W. Bush. But it turns out that it's not. It's his 17-year-old son, W, that's standing there. And then there's 3 other pictures that he showed in which you can see, oh, yeah, look at his face. That's W. So not only was George H.W. Bush there, but he brought his son along to
Mm-hmm.
to experience, here's what we're doing, watch this. And now you know how the world works,
Wow.
Right. Yeah. The Hatfield said he was a captain in Special Forces, but there's no
Oh.
record of him being a captain in Special Forces. So that means he was probably sheep dipped and CIA.
Mm-hmm.
No, Toto doesn't need a CPAP machine, Prester John. It's a thought, but
I've actually thought about it.
Really?
Could they put a CPAP? Well, yeah, because she keeps you awake. But I don't think that would work.
The Princess and the Pea. Hemp seed.
Not sure what that refers to.
Maybe it's good for helping little dogs sleep. Valerie used to deliver cocaine to Obama in the White House. I didn't say that. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah. I mean, it's not at all surprising to hear people say that now. And when they found cocaine in the White House 6 months ago, and nobody owned up to it. Oh, that was mine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave it on the windowsill there.
Yeah. I don't think that it would have been laying around since Obama was there, though.
Charles was happy to see George W. leave too. Yeah, I was in a crowd of about 1 million people on the mall, and we all saw when the Marine helicopter goes up in the air, and they said, "That's George Bush leaving," and we just ecstatic. So happy to get rid of that guy.
And he has kept such a low profile ever since then. You forget that he existed.
Oh, here's a reference to an important movie called Forks Over Knives. You want to tell a little bit about that, Marcia?
Well, Forks Over Knives is a wonderful movie about the whole food plant-based diet, and it features 2 doctors who are a married couple and have a practice in California. And when John and I were in the Dominican Republic in November, we were lucky enough to meet them. They were there for the conference that we were attending. Interesting couple who have really promoted the whole food plant-based way of life and how it has impacted health. It's a good movie. It's a good movie to watch to become introduced to this approach. There are quite a few others that are out there now and good websites. Forks Over Knives is one of my sources for recipes. Whenever I'm searching for something, I go there, but more often than not, I'm going to the nutritionstudies.org or com. I can't remember.
Org.
Is it org? Center
Yeah.
for Nutrition Studies that I follow, and they're the ones that did the conference that we were attending. But great book. Forks Over Knives has been a little bit controversial lately because they promoted a video about should we or should we not include olive oil in our diets, and
Oh,
this way of eating includes no oil at all. And so there was a little debate that they did between two people who promote one who promotes whole food plant-based, Rip Esselstyn, and the other one was a doctor who I did not know, and they discussed that. And so there were a lot of critics that were saying, including people at the Center for Nutrition Studies, who were saying, what's up with Forks Over Knives promoting olive oil? And then Forks Over Knives has just come out and said, no, 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 we're not promoting olive oil. So anyway, but no oil is part of this diet as well. But
that's a
it's
tough one for a lot of people.
very
You know,
tough.
oh, olive oil, what's wrong with that? We've been hearing it's good for us for
Right,
years and
right.
years, but it's
The
still
olive oil industry has done an amazing marketing job positioning their product as healthy, kind of like milk and a
yeah,
few
but
other
well, I mean,
products.
this goes back into pre-biblical times. I mean, olive oil has been a staple of human diet forever. How can you say it's bad? Well, it's just as fatty as all the other oils, and it's that lipid that sticks to things that makes our blood vessels have trouble. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, and damages the arterial walls, according to the people that we follow.
but uh, we get along without it just fine.
Yeah, it's easy to cook without olive oil.
Yeah, or any kind of oil.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You think, oh, how am I going to saute this without any oil? Well, there's ways.
Yeah, you just use water or broth. Anyway,
And yeah, Charles.
Kathy is safer. That's what a lot of people say.
Oh, George Bush left and
I did not know AAA worked in that,
you have to have
habit industry.
a special plan. All right. Well,
Oh dear.
I'm glad to hear that George got some help. He's now trying to be a painter.
He's been doing that all along. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's what he does.
You mean trying to?
Right. Right. Well, anybody, I could get some canvas and paint and, call it painting.
Well, that's what Jeffrey Epstein did. And, he sold his paintings for big bucks. Playboy Press published Kathy's book. Well,
actually, I don't know much about Playboy anymore, but in its time, there was a lot of serious journalism going on.
It's true. There was, yeah. Shrub Found Jesus also. Oh, that's, well, yeah. I mean, he's always been a born again guy, hasn't he? I mean, I don't know. Peter Thiel has won a no-bid $30 million contract to track illegal immigrants for ICE. This is the creepy stuff. I do not like this prison in El Salvador where it's a black hole where they just throw people in there, they disappear forever. That creeps me out so bad. I do not like it. If people have to go to jail, and let it be in the United States in an American prison.
Right.
We don't need private prisons. We need our government to take responsibility. If you're going to convict somebody of a crime and impose a sentence on them, then government, you got to give them the place to serve the sentence. And now,
are you talking about illegals?
I don't care.
Okay.
Anybody.
Good.
Any human being that is charged with a crime in this country should be incarcerated if he's found guilty in this country. Sending him out to some hellhole in some other country is un-American and disgusting.
You're right.
So that's number one. And number two is privatizing the intelligence work to a guy like Peter Thiel, who has, a dox on everybody already. I mean, he's got Palantir. And this idea that everybody's going to be under surveillance, and we're all going to have to accept it as normal. No, it's not normal to be under surveillance. It is
Right.
not normal. And people that want to keep everybody under surveillance, well, these people are working for the elites.
Yes.
They have a bias, they have an interest in it. People that are employed in the field of intelligence work, people that are doing it in a private company, they have a personal interest in gathering information on everybody. And this AI is just scraping everybody's information, putting it all together. And, within another generation, we're going to find that everybody accepts it, that it's okay, that I've got a number and, the mark of the beast. Marcia, I'm calling on Marcia.
The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States reads, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated."
Shall not be violated.
That's right.
But what about national security?
It doesn't reference that here. I'll go on and read. "And no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." And I think any kind of monitoring of myself and my home and my activities is a search. And that is
Absolutely.
unconstitutional.
It is a search. And electronic means is still a search.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor John, folks are suggesting plant-based eating is a woke agenda pushed by the Klaus Schwab. Well, that's the carnivore industry.
Absolutely.
The carnivore industry is very, very, very popular and powerful, and a lot of conservatives are just sure that the way to health is through
Meat,
eating
animal flesh.
dead cows.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's being promoted by the cattle industry, the chicken industry, even the fish industries, and goats and sheep and all of the animals that are being eaten.
In the 70s, Nestle deliberately causes infants in Africa to starve to death. Nestle offered free infant formula. Okay, this is a story Marcia was thinking of. Their human nutritious breast milk all dried up. Oh my God. Then they demanded top dollar for the formula. The moms diluted it. The infants starved. The story is available on the internet.
They did it all over the world. They did it in Africa. They did it in South America. They probably did it in Asia, all over the world. It's horrible.
Oh, there we go. Petro Poroshenko was the chocolate king. Now the lights go off. Gotcha. Moving to ban fluoride. Hooray. Very good. Lowenfels. That's somebody I don't know. It's the Michael Jordan of soil biology. Okay. Wonder if he has Nikes. Or was it, what was the brand? Was it Nike?
Yeah, he was, yeah, I think
Anyway,
it was Nike swoosh and, Michael's silhouette, whatever. I'm, of course, a big Michael Jordan fan, having gone to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Go Tar
Yay.
Heels.
All right. Well, an amazing athlete. Bezos is entering the Tech Bros contest to fill our skies with satellites. Oh boy. I guess that's why they put Ariana Grande up on Blue Origin to, start getting some. You didn't see that?
No.
You missed it?
I missed that. What are we talking about?
You must have totally left the mainstream media agenda. I mean, have you become one of us now?
Well, tell me what you're talking about.
Ariana Grande, the famous singer.
Yes, I know who she is.
Flew up into outer space.
You sure that wasn't Katy Perry?
Oh, it was Katy Perry.
Thank you. Okay.
It's one of them. Are you telling me you didn't know the story, but
I just didn't know Ariana Grande had done anything, but that's what confused me.
You know how my brain works.
That's why I quickly understood that you meant Katy Perry.
All right. Well, why didn't you say so?
I did as soon as I realized it.
Bezos. All right. You knew the story. Come on. Blue Origin.
Yeah, in fact, we talked about this 2 weeks ago.
And so, yeah, is this Bezos versus Musk to see who can, impose prison planet or a Skynet, as some people call it? Atlanta Friedland's work calls it the planetary lockdown, where there's a satellite, above me at any particular time that can focus in on me and maybe affect my health in a negative way.
Monitor you,
Yeah.
violate the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. I mean, all of these satellites and everybody's going, yay, Musk, we love Musk. The stuff that you see is great, but go to Mars, fine. But oh man, these satellites, I hate to see them when they go across. You ever seen like there's a 12, like a trail of satellites that are all just lined up in a line because they just got launched together. And yeah, it's ugly. It's next thing you know, they're going to put satellite advertisings, line up the satellites to spell Nestle or something.
Oh my God. You are so right.
In the night sky.
It's going to be star writing like they do in the beaches with those horrible airplanes pulling banners. I hate that. All right.
All right. The other picture. Sorry, Ariana Grande, I put you in the wrong context entirely. You would never do anything for the deep state, like fly to space, like, what was her name?
Katy Perry.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. Katy Perry and other
You can tell I'm
celebrity.
really hip to all the great pop singers.
Right. It's okay. I couldn't sing you any one of their songs.
President Trump needs to get rid of General Cavoli ASAP, totally involved in Ukraine. I think he's a NATO guy. I need to study more about him, but yeah, he's been in the news. Photos of Oswald in Marine dress uniform, has a marksman's badge. Interesting. Interesting indeed. The way that Manning explained it, there's like 3 ranks of marksmen. There's like you can be a marksman, but that's just the lowest one, and then the next one is there's 2 more, and then finally the highest one is expert or something.
But according to Manning, his
file
DD 214, which is his separation papers, indicates that he ranked UNQ.
Well, it wouldn't be the first fake picture that we've seen of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right. And by the way, he also says that his file had just very few papers in it. Most of the papers were missing.
Thiel's Palantir, which will root out threats in America with NSA thin thread capability. Interesting. Thin thread, remember Thin Weasel? But no, Thin Thread, that's what it was. That was Ray McGovern's issue. Capability, able to create extensive digital profiles of targets and sends its data to Israel. Yeah, no doubt. Israel is very, very much involved in what's going on. It's, I mean, you might, if you watch me, what I understand to be the whole big long picture is the old empire, the great empire of ancient history, transmogrified itself through Venice to Amsterdam to London and to Wall Street. And this empire is controlling or wants to control everything. And they have got enough money that they can outbid or outperform anybody else that tries to compete with them. So that's how they've been able to just, take over things like the corporate takeovers, undercutting the price, driving local bakeries out of business so Nabisco can sell all the bread. Those kind of tactics have been going on for 200 years. And we are now, looking at we're going over the precipice into where we can't get it back. We can't get our freedom back. So
That was a great summary. A really good summary. I want to take what you just said and cut that out as a clip and use it somehow.
So add on top of that now, in order to do that, the British intelligence figured out that they needed to control the Middle East, the crossroads of humanity that has always gone right between, Asia. That's where Asia crosses into Europe, and that's where Africa crosses into Europe and Asia.
They all come together.
They
Yeah.
all come together there. And so what I think they did was that they got some people willing, like Theodore Herzl, for instance, and they said to him, you know what, we will let you do this, but under two conditions. Number one, ultimately, we're still in charge. And number two, that you will do everything possible to control this country. We're going to make a country called Israel, and you're going to do whatever is by any means necessary. You're going to control it. You're going to stay there, and you will do whatever it takes to stay there. And part of what they've been doing to do that has been taking over the Congress of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
By making sure that their APAC people have got a constant contact with any member of Congress, so that anything that they need done gets done, and anything they need not done doesn't get done. And this is all to me, if I was being interviewed as to what's my opinion, what's going on, that's my bottom line, that it's the same empire that the revolution was fought against. It's the same empire that has existed for thousands or 2,000 years. And
yes,
they have so much intelligence, the Five Eyes, all of the intelligence agencies report back to the empire. And the illusion that our CIA is somehow working for the United States or for the people of this country is
an illusion, as you say.
It's a perfect illusion, and people don't want to give it up. They just want to believe that the CIA and the FBI and all these NSA, all these people, they're working to keep us free so we can enjoy our lives as American citizens. But it's a fantasy,
right? How are we doing on time?
We're running out of time fast.
Yeah, many comments still.
All right. Let's go down. Prester John says forks over knives been co-opted by industry.
Yeah, there is some truth to that.
Okay. So that's why Center for Nutrition Studies, or nutritionstudies.org, is our source for whole food, plant-based eating, which is what I think is really saving our lives.
Yes.
Let's see. Jessica Tidwell, hey. Yes, Dr. Hatfield did sue the Times and received a $6 million settlement from the Department of Justice.
Jeez.
Yeah, that'll keep you, satisfied. And that's when they stopped looking at him, because he filed lawsuits saying, "Hey, you're alleging that New York Times, you're alleging that I would do something horrible like that. Well, of course, I would never do anything like that." And then the government says, "Well, you know what? You've been wrongfully accused. We're going to give you a pile of money." But this story from Jim Manning's client could blow that whole apart. Could bring it back into looking back at Stephen Hatfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that might get us in trouble. Let's see. I see how far behind we got. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah, a lot of conversation going back and forth there.
Well, what else should we take? We run out of time. Let's take one more.
May I? I
Be my guest.
Charles Held says, "My computer is an enemy spy in my house. Not boarding enemy soldiers is another one of the amendments. Quartering, yes, absolutely. There you go. What is that? I think that's actually the third amendment, Now I have to look. Which is the quartering amendment? Yep. No soldier shall in any time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Thank you, Charles.
And thank you, everybody who's popped in to say hello to Marcia and me on our Friday live chat at McDuff Lives. Please sign up for our McDuff Lives Rumble channel.
Yes.
I need to get over 1,000. I've only got 900 and something right now. So if you can pump us over that big number, I'd appreciate it. Also, that's the safe place to always find us. We often do not broadcast on YouTube anymore just because they are so trigger happy with their strikes that I have no confidence that I can rely on them not to take another channel down. So I don't trust them. I don't like them, but I do broadcast there, especially on our Friday's chat, just so folks can, that otherwise wouldn't see us, could tune in.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Bye-bye now.